Nice. Now we know. Okay, so this key is a +10 Shrine of the Storms, and obviously we've got our feral druid boy. This key is coming at you from. Let me see if I can see it submitted. This is coming at you from cats. So I mean, it's in the character name. You already know. You already know. Oh, so okay. Well, scuffed ass streamer. We didn't quite see the town. So there we go. We got Predator. I agree with this. The affixes I think are fortified. I think we've got some volcanic or quaking. And we've got I can't remember the last one, and then obviously we've got infested to deal with. We'll see what affixes are in a second, but we're starting out with Predator. I like that because there's going to be a lot of focus on trash. The first boss technically has an add component in terms of it splitting into 3 parts, so you're going to get some use from Predator there. Not massive amounts of use, but some use. The second boss, it's going to be useless. The third boss, it's going to be useless. The last boss, arguably there's going to be some use from it. Well, there is going to be quite a lot of use, I guess, if you think of the small little sharads that are creeping along, as well as the 2 squiddy boys, 2 squids. So Predator is going to get some use. It's fortified, so as and when things are dying, it's going to kind of give us. I mean, things aren't going to die too quickly. It's a +10, so we'll see the competency of the group. But I like Predator. I like Predator. I'm a big advocate for Predator on a Mythic Plus, especially with this with so much trash. Predator is really going to get some good use. Renewal, I'm not sold on it. You're already going to be using Regrowth as part of your rotation because you've got Blood Talons. The extra addition of Renewal is just like you've already got 2 Survival Instincts, you've already got your defensives. You shouldn't need more than that. Not in a +10. Let your healer deal with it, right? Tiger Dash or Wild Charge are going to get way more use, I feel. Now, he might be taking Renewal here just to kind of cover his own kind of competency. Maybe he's worried about some of the affixes. Maybe he's worried about some of his own. Maybe he doesn't know the dungeon that well. So maybe he's worried about kind of getting hit by something and kind of taking a beating. So maybe he's trying to help his healer out. I personally take Tiger Dash in pretty much all situations. Pretty much all situations. I rarely switch out of that. Restoration Affinity. Again, I don't like this. I don't like this healing heavy build that he's going. I don't like it. I want to see Balance Affinity, because you can say, oh, well, Resto Affinity is going to help him if he gets in a sticky situation, right? Yes, but also Balance Affinity is going to help in a sense more so, because you can stand further back. You're going to be less likely to be hit by, any AoE attacks on the third boss, for example, where he's doing, where he's spawning the orbs for the mind control target. There'll be a point where he'll start to cast his Void Bolt, and you have to interrupt him pretty quick right after the orbs have popped up. So with balance, like if you're in a position with Balance Affinity, you can kind of position yourself where you're still attacking the boss, but you can get the interrupt, but you're also avoiding the orbs because you're standing far back. There are a few advantages to that. I mean, on the last boss, again, it very much helps where he drops the silence. So I would take Balance Affinity because it allows you to kind of remove yourself from combat a little bit more. Mighty Bash is okay. I personally would take Typhoon, just because sometimes there'll be situations where multiple mobs are casting at once, such as the healing mobs, and Typhoon definitely works a lot stronger. But Mighty Bash does have a really good, does have a place, definitely. Jagged Wounds, I like on Fortified because mobs are going to be alive long enough for Jagged Wounds to actually get some use. Soul of the Forest, I would use if maybe it was a lower key, if it was anything from like a +8 or below. I would probably just use Soul of the Forest at this rate, and because mobs are going to be dying so quickly that in most cases, depending on your group, that Jagged Wounds isn't really going to get a great effect. And so I would take kind of Soul of the Forest in those situations. In a +10, Jagged Wounds is cool. With Heavy Fortified, we're good. Brutal Slash, yes, obviously, because most of the bosses are going to die within 1 or 2 minutes. They're not really going to be any issue. Brutal Slash, the ads with Fortified is going to be the main kind of pain that you're going to have. Hey, Mystery, how you doing, by the way, dude? I didn't give you a little bit of love there. I'm just kind of reviewing this video here. This was submitted by one of our viewers, as I was saying. And then Blood Talons. Obviously, Blood Talons, no other exception. So we're going to be starting out there. I think we're then going to look at his... I'm going to turn this down slightly. It's a little bit loud. A little bit loud. So we're going to be looking at his traits there. So he's got Archive of the Titans. He's got Swirling Sand, which is just going to give him a crit strike proc. Archive of the Titans, which is just does whatever Archive of the Titans is. It's just really good. And then his chest piece, I think we didn't see his chest piece. His chest piece was the start the video over. His chest piece. So there's his helm, Swirling Sands. He shows us his cape. There you go. Filthy Transfusion, which again is like okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. So it's probably just the best that he's got, right? Obviously, just the luck of the draw. Until 8.1, he's buffed up. He's popped a flask. I like to see it. He's got some other, you know, he's got his attack power buff and stuff. He started with a Blood Talent and he started in stealth. Good, perfect. He's raked something. Throw on Thrash. Cool. Now he should use his finisher, Blood Talents, boom, and then just be popping those Brutal Slashes. So good to see. He gets good use of the Brutal Slash. So that pack, I mean, unfortunately, he's got his damage. He's got his damage done here, but he's got it on set to overall. I do that all the time. So, unfortunately, we can't see the damage of that pack. I mean, we see the finisher, but we don't get to see his burst there. Here, he starts in stealth, he rakes, then he uses his second Blood Talons on Thrash, which I don't like that. He's not even using the Brutal Slash trait, Azerite trait. You then also notice something I don't like here, right? Single target mob. Something I don't like here is he does hard cast for a regrowth for his 5 combo point rip, which is cool. That's fine. Wild Flesh Raining, that's the trait, right? He doesn't have that, so he doesn't actually. Yes, Thrash is a single target DPS increase, but really you don't want to use a Blood Talons on it. You want to save a Blood Talons for like a shred, or you know, in that situation where he's got nothing else. But you'll see here, right? So he gets his rip on the target. Oh wait, I think we have to rewind a little bit more. So he gets his. We'll see this target again. He gets his rip on the target, and then he procs his Blood Talons again, which is bad. And I'll show you here. Okay, so he hardcasts his regrowth. Cool, that's fine. He's gonna rip. That's fine. He's got one more Blood Talons proc. All right, let's see what he does with it. I couldn't even see that one. Let's see what he does with it. He's got one more Blood Talons proc. Okay, I can't even see what he does with it. But he does then immediately after his rip, he then immediately procs his Blood Talons again when he's at like no combo points. You only in a single target situation want to be Blood Talons, your rake, and your rip, nothing else. Ferocious Bite potentially depending on how things align, how things fall. But you don't want to be Can't you show the video and settings? I think you can. Yes, you can. You can. Good point. Good point. Oh my goodness, look at this speed. Oh wait, we'll speed it up for a second. Scuff Streamer, by the way. We'll slow this combat down just because this is a really good single target mob example. Boom. Casts his regrowth. Pops his rip on the target. I assume there he shreds because he doesn't redo any of his bleeds. So he must have used a shred, or it looks like a Brutal Slash. So that's good. That's fine. Boom. Then he immediately recasts his Blood Talons, which I don't like because he's at 0 combo points. His rake is going to fall off in about 2 seconds. Right? I love the sound effects, by the way. So now he's got his rake about to fall off. He's at 3 combo points. He's got no Blood Talons proc. Not a good point to be in, right? So then he lets his rake fall off. He doesn't hit the pandemic window, which is at 3 seconds, which is when the cooldown is about there, right? About there. Doesn't get his Thrash back up on the target, right? He does use Blood Talons on this rake here, which is nice, right? He's got 1 proc there. He's used it on the rake. That's nice. He then uses his second proc again on his Thrash. I don't like it. I don't like it. And then let's see what he does here. He's not got his Blood Talons again for the Ferocious Bite, so he ends up just doing a Ferocious Bite. Did he have 50 energy? Let's see here. So he builds up. No. Ferocious Bite, for anyone that doesn't know, costs 25 energy. If you wait until 50 energy, it will do 100% increased damage. Done. Done. Simple as that. So always wait on Ferocious Bite until 50 energy. There are very perhaps you could argue that, let's say Rip is on 1 second, it's about to fall off, you've got 5 combo points, but you literally just scraping on energy, you don't quite have enough of it, you literally just have enough energy, you got 30 energy, let's say, right? Well, then just Ferocious Bite. Don't risk the Rip falling off, especially if it's an empowered Rip with a Tiger's Fury and you know, whatever, Blood Talons or whatever else. Don't risk it, just pop it. Here, I like that he pops his Tiger's Fury, because he's got Predators, so he pops it immediately, because he knows he's going to reset it on these spawns. And then he goes and he rakes them, he puts his bleeds up, which is good. He's moving out from the spell effects, nice. Good kitty, good kitty. He regrows before re-entering combat, perfect. Then he stealths, perfect. That's what I like to see. Because then his Rake is going to have the Blood Talons proc. There we go, we got good CC from the group there. That infested mob is only going to heal this mob and empower it. So, good to see him kind of CC that and pull it away. Good rogue, good rogue. Here, I want to see his AoE. So he gets his Thrash up. Is he Blood Talonsing his Brutal Slash? Is he Blood Talonsing his Brutal Slash? That's what I want to see. Let's see him engage here again. So he rakes this. See, I don't... There's no need to keep hard casting Regrowth. Just go with it. Because the DPS, like, right there in that situation, yes, his Rip is super empowered, which is nice. This mob is going to die. Like, this is the prior mob, so that's great. The issue, though, is that you've got all these mobs, all these peripheral mobs, right? I'm pointing on screen, but this is useless. I should be using my mouse. You've got all these mobs here, right? Which is just free damage. It's free damage that you should be sucking up. Now, it is bursting, so you kind of don't really want to kill them all together. But I mean, even so, people are going to do it anyway, so just kind of pop a cooldown, just whatever, just don't tell your healer. That's why he's taking healing talents, right? So instead, he could just Thrash there, build up to 5 combo points, because in this situation, I would rake this primary mob, Thrash, 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 whatever, or Shred, get up to 5 combo points, Thrash, pop a Rip on the main target, then Blood Talons, then double Brutal Slash, right? Your Brutal Slash is then going to be empowered or snapshotted from your Blood Talons. Boom, you're gonna have a huge burst of DPS, and in many situations, I will keep up with rogues. I will keep up with pretty much any class besides Demon Hunters. Demon Hunters is really the only class that consistently I will not keep up with on AoE DPS. But in very, very, like, these yellow mob bursts, I can keep up with them with that technique. So it's a good technique, it kind of does me well. So right here, the mobs don't have Thrash on them, but he is using his Blood Talons on Brutal Slash. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. And in that situation, if you have to waste a Blood Talent on a Thrash just to kind of get it out, that's fine. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. Because an empowered Thrash on 1 mob, not very good. An empowered Thrash on 10 mobs, pretty damn good. It's fine. So he keeps popping out a cat form here to be casting his. I think there he's helping with the bursting a little bit. Actually, he might just be helping with the bursting, which is it's nice of him. But he's got that renewal for a reason. Just pop that renewal, it'll keep you in cat form. No need to be jumping out there. And he keeps hard casting. I don't like it. I did initially when I saw it once, but now that I'm seeing it consistently in combat, I'm not liking it because you're missing melee damage, which is like your third best attack, right? He's missing that. Again, he doesn't need to recast there for the spawns of Gahoon. It's not worth it. Not worth it. Throw a quick Thrash, throw a couple Rakes, and just shred him down. Pop your Tiger's Fury, and you're fine. Yeah, again, he keeps hard casting. I'm not liking it, but I'm not going to keep going through that point. He's not... Okay, so he's got a Blood Talons. He re-rakes that. I like that. Gets his... He keeps Blood Talonsing his Thrash as well. Again, I don't like it. Now, is he a Night Elf? I think he is a Night Elf. Yeah, he's a Night Elf. So he should be using his Shadow Meld in situations like this, where if you Shadow Meld and then you Rake, it will act as if you were in Stealth, which, as we know, a Rake from Stealth has 100% increased damage. Now, you can see his damage here. Like, it's okay in comparison to the rest of the group. I think he does have it set to overall DPS, so we're not able to see fight by fight until the end. We're not able to see how his damage is ramping or falling off. Which is a bit of a shame, really. He doesn't have his damage meters set up nicely. That's good. I like how he does that. He rakes 2 separate targets, which is real good. His 2 rakes are nicely empowered. Happy with that. He's casting Wild Growth. I'm not liking it. Let his healer worry about it. I mean, he might know his healer. His healer might just be very, very undergeared. How you doing, Jewel? Illidan. How you doing, Illidan? So he might just be helping out his healer a little bit. But again, not his job. Not his job. Healer's job to heal. On Grievous, just worry about how you're DPSing. So, like, right now, this is fine. One mob dies. By the time the other mob dies, the Grievous is going to have fallen off. Or it should do if they wait. Yeah, there we go. So it's fine, right? As a DPS, you don't necessarily just have to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to pop out and heal, right? As a feral. You don't need to do that. In that situation, I would double rake those mobs, by the way. I wouldn't have raked and then thrash. Double rake, you got 2 empowered rakes, then thrash, then build up to your 5 combo points, then throw a rip up, right? But in situations like this, you need to just watch how you're DPSing. So the way that you deal with these affixes, right? Fortified, the mobs are going to have a lot of health. So they're going to take a lot longer to die, which is in a way is good this week. Because we need a long time for our bleeds to actually start taking damage, right? Start doing damage, start ramping up the damage. This is clearly a Resto Druid and Feral Affinity. Yeah, he must be a main healer. See, here he's Entanglement. Score, he's helping out the group. He wasn't able to re-stealth, which is a bit of a bummer. He could have Shadow Melded. It's whatever. But this week, with the bursting, the bursting effect, basically, whenever anything dies, it's going to do it's going to put a dot on every member of the group, and that dot is a stacking dot. So if 5 mobs die within 1 second, then everyone's going to get 5 stacks of this bursting debuff, which I think it does 5% of your max health per tick per stack. I might be wrong there. That might be extremely too high, but regardless, it's a high ticking dot. The more it stacks, the worse it's going to kind of be for the group. The worse it's going to be for the healer. The reason this is so bad, right? A lot of healers, they can actually take quite a few stacks of mobs dying, and it lasts for about 4 seconds, and then it will drop off, right? The issue is, right, if you kill mobs in quick succession, where it's got a 4-second timer, right? Let's say you're on 2 stacks, ticks down to 1 second left, and then you kill another mob. Well, then it's going to jump up to 3 stacks and completely reset to 4 ticks, to 4 seconds, right? So instead of your healer having 2 stacks for 4 seconds and then 1 stack for 4 seconds, the healer has 2 stacks for 3 seconds, and then 3 stacks for 4 seconds, which mathematically, using our big brain here, is really bad. So you really want to just kind of, as a DPS, and whose fault is that? Is that the healer's fault? Is that the tank's fault? No, that's your fault as the DPS, right? You need to be watching, coordinating yourselves, and it's difficult in pugs because you're going to have people who are just going to be an ape and they're just going to keep attacking and they're not going to pay any attention to it, and they're just going to keep, smashing their head on their keyboard, playing a rogue, playing a demon hunter, whatever. So what you want to be doing is really taking note of each mob's health and each mob's, and kind of how many stacks you're currently on, right? So in this situation, watch how many bolstering stacks are going to get up to. Let's see how this works, right? So they're on 1. Everything's low health, so I would stop DPS in there. I'd just stop and wait. But they don't. And see how these stacks are ticking for 2 seconds, 2-3 seconds, and then they're popping up again? Nice, they reset stacks at 6. That's fine. That's good, alright? Again, it gets up to 6, whatever. But do you see how that... Look at the group's health. Look at the group's health. This healer is struggling here. Because the mobs are getting up to... You're getting up to 4 stacks, and it's ticking for 2 or 3 seconds. Right, the debuff's about to fall off, and then it gets rejuvenated and buffed again. Really, really bad for your healer. Really tough. Let's rewind there really quick. I want to see this boss from the beginning here. So let's see a single target boss rotation, because this is important. This is with your bloodlust. This is with all your big cooldowns. I've not actually looked at his cooldown use yet, so we're going to look at that in a moment and see how he's using his cooldowns, because that's something we do need to review. So he starts from stealth. That's good. He gets his blood talents, he gets his rake, he gets his rip. Nice. He started with 5 combo points. That's smart. He used his big brain. Okay? Now, okay, he's not using his blood talons with his finisher. He's simply not doing it. And he's letting his rake fall. He must not know about pandemic windows. He's letting all of his bleeds tick off, and then he's refreshing them, which you don't want to do. There's what's called a pandemic window, and I'll go through that more in a moment. Let me just get through this. So his rake's fallen off here. Not good. Your rake uptime on a mob like this should be like 98%, 99%, right? If I had to guess, if he continued this level throughout the fight, I'd guess it would probably end up at about a 92%. Which you think, oh, 92%, that's still really good. No, that's really not good. Not good in this kind of situation. Where there's nothing really going on, he should be able to kind of keep it quite high. He should be able to keep it at that 98, 99%. You know? So he's not DPSing there. I don't think there was a reason not to be DPSing. He could have just positioned himself better and kept DPSing. He could have raked both those mobs there. In that situation where you can go to one mob or you can go to two mobs, it's better to go to two mobs and we could just two-target cleave. Way better than going over to the one mob and not really doing a whole lot. He holds on to his 5 combo points. I like that. He then regrows. I like that. Gets his Blood Talons up ready for the boss. When the boss spawns, he's going to get his rip. He's going to get his rake. Nicely done. The boss is almost dead. So it's whatever. He keeps Blood Talonsing, or, you know, keeps casting his regrowth to get his Blood Talons with 0 combo points. And I'm not liking that. He used his he did use his cooldowns in that fight, so that's nice. I didn't quite track his Tiger's Fury use. But that's okay. There were kind of bigger issues there to kind of worry about. His positioning, he stopped DPS completely. That's bad. He didn't have to. At any point in that fight, he could have kept DPSing. It's all about his positioning. And I say that, right? I mean, if I'm going to say it, let me at least talk you through it, right? There's no point in me just saying it. Why is his positioning not great? Let's go through the cooldowns real quick whilst we're looking at this. Because we're not going to go through this whole video. We don't need to go through the whole extent of the video. We will skip to parts. So he starts the fight, he uses his Berserk, he uses his Tiger's Fury pre-combat, which is fine, because in this situation, he's got 5 combo points, so he knows he's going to be able to get a rip up immediately. He's got his Blood Talons procs, right? So this initial rake is going to hit so hard, and this initial rip is going to hit so hard, right? You got 15% increased damage from your Tiger's Fury. Oh god, Blood Talons now, is it 15% or is it 25% increased damage? I don't even know, but I just know it's juicy, okay? I don't even know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's 25%. Thank you, Bringer of Souls. It's 25%. There we go. Scuffed streamer. So that's a 40% increase to his rake. His rake, starting from stealth, is going to do 100% more damage. So his initial rake is going to do 140% damage now. Bellissimo. Bellissimo. Nothing gets better than that, huh? Somebody's already popped their drums. Cool, that's fine, that's whatever. Pops his Berserk, nice. Now, the good thing about that, right, popping your Berserk pre-combat, it doesn't pop you out of stealth, but what it does do is it frees up, you're basically going to be energy capped, right? So if you have to enter combat, so he'd rake, then he'd rip, then he'd Berserk, you're going to energy cap, right? Whereas if he can rake, rip, and then he's already got his Berserk and already got his Berserk up, so he could just start casting those shreds, casting the thrash, whatever, start his rotation going. That's one less cooldown in this fight that he has to waste on a proc that's not going to contribute to his DPS. That proc can be popped half a second before you pull in combat, right, to allow your global cooldown to refresh. Beautiful, fine. So he starts the fight, that's nice. You could do that. You don't have to, but you can. Gets his rip up, nice. Gets his thrash up, cool. He's using his Blood Talons, I don't like it. Let's then look at where his Tiger's Fury is going to come in. He moves out nicely a little bit. Cool, he moves out. That's cute. It's cute. Nice. So his rip there, yeah, his rip falls off. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know if he re-Blood Talons his rip, but he should have. Now, his Tiger's Fury in this fight, in that situation there, right? In that situation, had he raked that grasp, when it died, it would have reset his Predator. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Which would have given him his Tiger's Fury proc. So there you go. So let's see if he uses his Tiger's Fury immediately, which he pretty much just should. He pretty much should. Yes, nice. Okay, so he hardcasts his growth. That's fine. Gets his Predator reset. What I would have done, though, let me rewind that. What I would have done, if we want to really optimize DPS, okay, what I would have done, knowing he's going to hardcast his regrowth, which he doesn't need to do here, right? He's got his Predator. His Predatory Swiftness, I think it's called. He's got that, right, which is going to give him his Blood Talons proc. He's at 2 common points. He's let his rake fall off. Fuck it, right? What I would do is, sorry, excuse the language. I would thrash here. Get his thrash reset, right? Then do a couple shreds. He's got the energy for it. Do a couple shreds. Get up to 4 combo points, right? I would then, you know, thrash, shred. Hardcast his regrowth. Then Tiger's Fury, because Tiger's Fury is going to save you a global. It's going to put you immediately in cat form. So that's why I would kind of always have your Tiger's Fury as well on a key that isn't where you have to. You know how your action bars shift when you go into cat form? Have it on a key where you don't need that. So then you can hardcast his regrowth. Don't like it, but he's going to do it anyway, so that's fine. Then Tiger's Fury, it'll put you back into cat form. You can then immediately cast a Rake, and it's going to save you a global cooldown. Otherwise, he'd have to go back into cat form, or what he does, I think what he does, is he hardcasts his Regrowth, then Tiger's Furies, then hardcasts his cat form. Not good. So let's see here. So he hardcasts. There we go. And he Tiger's Fury. Nice. He did what we want him to do. He did what we want him to do there. So now these mobs split, right? I would put Rake and Rip on this target. I would then jump over to this one. I would Rake, and I would get up a Rip, and then I would jump onto the third target. Does he do it? He jumps back to the initial target, gets a Rake. That's fine. It's not the biggest optimal DPS, but it works. What he could have done in this situation, positioned himself here, right? If he had balance affinity, positioned himself right here, and he could have thrashed, and it would have been one thrash that would have hit both targets, rather than what he probably would have had to do, where he would have had to thrash here and then thrash here, doubling his resource cost. If you can reduce your energy cost by 50%, that would be insane, right? That would be incredible. So just by positioning himself there rather than there and there, he's already saved himself the energy cost there. You can also, in this situation where he's got Brutal Slash, position there and hit them both with Brutal Slash. Beautiful. Beautiful. Rather than running over here, dotting this up, running over here, dotting this up, run here, dot this up, midway, stop, thrash, triple Brutal Slash, keep running. He's already got a Rip on the target. He gets a Rake up. Nice. Runs over to this third target. That's fine. Let's go over here. Cool. Now, watch out for the Surging Rush, right? So he sees these swirlies. He sees this Surging Rush. He goes, okay, well, this is going to go this way. The swirls are going to stop me from standing here and DPSing. So I'm going to run over here and I'm going to, heal myself. Wrong. He should have positioned himself here. So just run through the mob, position himself here. Meanwhile, check out the other two Surging Rushes. See where they're coming from. See where they're positioning. So run here. Keep DPSing. And then as this mob is nearing 100%, start kind of running. Start kind of running with the mob. The direction the mob's going to go. Right? You know, like a cameraman in like a football game. And they kind of run along. I'm not sponsored by Aldi energy drinks, by the way. You'd think I was. You know how like a cameraman will kind of run along in a scene? You can kind of do that and still be attacking the mob, and as the Surging Rush occurs, instead of being here and then having to run all the way to the other side, you can kind of just tail the mob. And then as the mob the Surging Rush is still going to be quicker than you, but as the Surging Rush finishes, you're close enough to the mob where you can Skull Bash, and it will carry you the rest of the distance instantly. You're already at the mob attacking. Rather than what we see here, where he's positioned here, he's at the edge of the room, he hardcasts it, then he has to go into cat form, then he runs all the way back over. He's just lost like 6 seconds of DPS just because of positioning. Just because, right there you could think, oh, well, there's nothing I could do, I had to move out. No, you didn't. You could have kept your DPS up. And that is the worst, like you could say, oh, well, you didn't do your pandemic windows, you're hardcasting your growth, whatever. Those are all minor issues, right? Then they're not going to contribute. They are in the big scheme. They are going to contribute like massively to your DPS loss. But if you're actually not attacking the mob, that's going to be the biggest DPS loss. Logically, use our big brain. Mathematically, 0 is smaller than some. 0 is smaller than more than 0. So you're doing well to move out with these earthquakes. So I'll give him that. He is, in some ways, alright with his positioning, but I think he's playing it too safe. This player, to me, looks like he's too safe. He's not trusting his healer, because he's got healing talents. He's not trusting his own kind of spatial awareness, with still continuing to attack the mobs, and he's worrying about the swirlies on the floor at the first one. He's worrying too much about getting hit by spells, which isn't the worst thing. I'd definitely rather have that player in my group than somebody that stands in everything and doesn't care. So this pack, I would again Rake, I would shred, build up a few combo points, thrash, then pop a Rip on this main target, Blood Talons, and use my Brutal Slash, which it looks like he's doing. It looks like he's doing. So he's doing well there. We can kind of skip through this now because we kind of know how a lot of this dungeon's gonna go. So that's fine. Some of these packs now start to get a little bit more difficult. See, this is a good pack. This is a good pack. You got 4 mobs. Let's start it from the beginning. You got 4 mobs, all high health prio targets, right? So let's see how he starts this one. I tell you what I'm gonna do, and then let's see what he does. So good afternoon, Gildy. What I would do, let me put this down. I would rake, pick a prototype, whatever, right? I would rake, Tiger's Fury. Oh, well, yeah, Tiger's Fury, rake. That point, he's probably going to be at 5 combo points. If he isn't, I would Thrash. I would then rip a target. I would then Blood Talons, double Brutal Slash. At that point, he's probably going to need to refresh the rake on the prio target. So I would refresh the rake. Then I would pick the second target. And it helps mentally to, in your head, pick a number, right? Pick a number. So if you're starting the fight, I would start this fight and I go, okay, just for ease sake, this one's at the top here. You can see top, middle, and it kind of drops down like a shelf, right? Start here, I would go, right, this is my prio target. This is the one that if I bleed first, I'm going to have to return my bleeds to the earliest. This one I'm going to bleed second, so then I know after this mob, I then have to switch onto the second mob. Then after this mob, I'm going to have to refresh the dots here, right? And just kind of mentally in your head, try and keep track of that. And keep track of what was your initial target, what was your second target, what was your third, and then just work from there. And if you forget, it's okay because the game tells you. So nice. So yeah, so what I would do is rake these. I would rake all 4 targets as quickly as possible, get a Thrash up, get my rip up on the prio target, then Blood Talons, get my Brutal Slash on all 4 targets. Going to hit real hard, going to be nice. If you have your Berserk here, I would use it as well because you may as well. It's going to help you get your bleeds up on these targets quicker. Right, and you know that the boss is going to be, you still got this pack, then you've got this big bossy mob, especially in Fortified here. You've got this pack over here, you've got a pat, you've then got all these small, like, you've got 3 minutes. You've got 3 minutes until you're going to kill this boss, right? So use your cooldowns here. Let's see if he does. But that's kind of what I do, and I kind of just methodically just work through rake, rip. Blood Talon's my Brutal Slash in this situation, and you're good to go. So let's see what he does. So he rakes his prio, then he rips, that's fine, he can do that. Then I would be raking those other mobs. Right now he's single target DPSing in a 4-pack mob, right? So he's probably, okay, we can't see his DPS, but he's probably doing no damage. These other 3 mobs may as well not exist for him right now. I think he used his, yeah, so he used his Brutal Slash there, but he didn't optimize it. I'm even gonna slow this down. I'm even gonna slow this down slightly because I want to see this. So he's got all his Brutal Slash here. He's got his Blood Talons. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he Brutal Slashes all 4. That's fine. I'll take it. Gets his Thrash up. That's fine. I'll take it. So he's got 5 combo points. He's got no Blood Talons. Let's see what he does. So he rips. Again, where are these rakes? Rake is your second hardest hitting ability. It goes rip, rake, melee. Technically, if you're single target, it would then be Moonfire. In this situation, it's probably going to be Brutal Slash. Then it should go Brutal Slash, Rake, probably then Melee, then Rip, potentially. There's a little bit of movement in that, depending on what your Blood Talonsing, depending on where Tiger's Fury lines up. A few factors, but that's kind of where it wants to be. He's not used his Berserk on this fight either, so that's interesting. So clearly, he might not know... He might be saving it for this next mob, so we'll see. So he's getting Rake up, but he's only using Rake on 1 target, which is a real big DPS loss. He is ripping multiple targets, which I like that. He's Blood Talonsing his Brutal Slash? No, he's not. No, he's not. In this situation, I would be Blood Talons my Brutal Slash. Forget about your single target. You could argue a Rip with a Blood Talons would be the optimal DPS, but I'm... Looking at it, I would just Brutal Slash for ease sake, right? Sometimes in Mythic, because you can go, oh, what's the most optimal DPS, and that's fine. But in a ease sake, in this kind of situation where you do want to kill all these mobs at the same time, if possible, because of this bursting affix, you kind of want to, and there are a few mechanics here that you need to watch out for, right? There are tornadoes, there's this whirling slam, which by the way, you can typhoon, you can bash, you can maim, you can shadow meld if you're a night elf, and then rake, and it will stun the mob. You've got all sorts. You've got all sorts. People say Feral has no utility. You've got tons of utility. In this situation, there's a lot of stuff to watch out for. So you can go, oh yes, but Blood Talons in my rip would be the optimal DPS, and but then you jumping around, you're checking, okay, which target needs the next rip. Is a lot to handle, especially for more beginner players. So if you're just looking at this and you just go, I'm just going to Blood Talons my Brutal Slash, I can just turn off that part of my brain. I can focus on the mechanics. I can just, especially in a higher key, right? Especially in a higher key where these mechanics are going to be one-shotting you, like 14s and whatever plus. Turn off that side of your brain and just focus on the ease, because that ultimately is going to be higher DPS. You do more DPS if you're alive. You do more DPS if you kind of, in a way, having to pay less attention. So yeah, so that's what I'd be doing. So he handles this pack okay. He should have been raking all 4 mobs. I would have been Blood Talons in my Brutal Slash. Done. He does nicely on getting his rips across. He doesn't use his Berserk here, okay? So he's not using his cooldowns nicely. I do want to see then, we can skip a lot of this. I want to see how he handles this next boss then. Okay, I did a +6 Motherload. Banana, by the time I'm done with this video, you're probably going to have done a +15, dude. You're going to have a higher Raider score than I am. Keep it going, baby. Keep it going. I want to see a +10 by the time this video is over. Oh, okay, we can, sorry, we're still in slow-mo. We're still in slow-mo. We're still at the speed that the average Demon Hunter's brain works. In fact, if you want to see the average rogue player, we'll just flip that on. Right, so you can see this is actually real-life footage of how a rogue player processes what's happening in front of him.
4,
When do I shroud?
3.
You guys pied with any rogues that haven't put poisons on yet, by the way? It's always nice in a +13. Right, so he gets his rip, he gets his rake. He should then... 2-target cleave is the best thing that Feral can do, right? So, okay, nice, he gets his rip, he gets his rake over. A little bit slow on the rake. Like, he can get his rake over, and then his rip will come eventually, right? He Ferocious Bites there, I don't like it. He should have re-ripped. But in his head, he thinks... He doesn't know his pandemic windows. So he probably thinks, oh, I've got plenty of time. You want to be re-ripping at 8 seconds left. 3 seconds on your rake. So he needs to be doing that. This rune here is going to clear, if the boss goes in it, it's going to clear their bleeds, which is kind of sucky. He's positioning well. So what you can kind of do, if you know the boss is going to go through the runes, hang back a second on using any combo points, right? Just wait until the boss goes through it. Sit there with 5 combo points. Sit there with Blood Talons. The boss comes through it. You can instantly re-rake, re-rip. You're losing only a minimal amount of time, right? So that's the best way to do it. He's not duo cleaving as well as I'd like, and he re-rips there. Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't. That's fine. That's fine. Sorry, I thought I heard the sound of it. So that's fine. His positioning is good. He's not standing in front of the boss, which is good because this does a cleave mechanic. So he's doing well to not stand in front of that. I like that. They save Bloodlust here, which is questionable. Oh no, sorry, no they don't. No they don't. They do use Bloodlust. Sorry, I'm used to seeing the debuffs are there. So that's fine. That's all good. They handle a lot of these mobs. This is probably the most difficult pack in the game, especially on Fortified. Probably, in the game? In the game? Maybe. I don't know. It's no Dead Man's Heroic, I'll tell you that. Dead Man's Heroic, final boss of the game. So again, he's handling this pack. He's getting his Brutal Slash on cooldown as much as possible, which is fine. Brutal Slash does more damage than a Shred, even on single target. So even on single target, you want to be using Brutal Slash. I think at this rate, it does 1.4 times what a Shred does. I think it got I don't know, there have been six Feral buffs so far. We've got a 7th coming in 8.1, and then we'll have a nerf as soon as they realize that Primal Wrath is ridiculously overpowered. So we'll get a nerf shortly after. So there'll be 8 Feral changes coming up soon. But I think Brutal Slash is about 1.4 to 1.6 times Shred damage. So even on single target, Brutal Slash is still better than Shred. So that's fine. They're going to skip through that. They're making some. They're making some okay time. It's not the best time. The overall DPS is okay. That's pretty good for a +10. It's pretty good. If this could be a little bit higher, This could be a little bit higher. I'd like it. Maybe if they were doing like 13k at the top end and like, well, sorry, no, like 14k at the top end and maybe like 12 to 13k, the middle end, middle to low. I'd be okay with that. But overall, no one's getting carried. No one's getting no one's carrying anyone, right? They're all pretty reasonable, and you can see. I mean, even going up against this rogue, he's doing pretty well as Feral. He's doing pretty well. So when everyone's kind of slating, I'm looking at the damage done here. This man here. So like, you know, when everyone's kind of, oh god, am I just realized. So he's kind of doing he's doing some okay damage. The higher key you do, the longer the mobs are alive. And to a degree, the more mobs there are, the more damage Feral will do. On explosive weeks, you should do considerably more damage than on any other week. The reason being, on explosive week, you can use your rake. You can quickly switch target to an explosive, rake it, and you will, you'll get your Predator reset. So you'll get your Tiger's Fury reset, right? So you can pretty much, in any fight, have permanent energy, permanent 15% damage increase. So you're looking good. You're looking good. So, what was I saying? I made a 10 Void Elf character to do trivia daily each day. Is that illegal? What trivia daily? What's the trivia daily? That might be illegal in some states. So, I can't remember what I was saying before that, but that's fine. So this boss, I mean, this boss is kind of, it's whatever. There's nothing that we really care about too much. Overall, I mean, we've kind of looked, looking at his, the main things I'd kind of look at, right? The things he did well. Let's look at the positive. The things he did well. He was getting a lot of Blood Talon's use. He wasn't always using it in the best way and to the optimal DPS, but at least he was getting good use out of it. Okay, at least he was using it regularly, which is better than not using it at all. So at least he's trying. I see him trying there. His positioning in many ways was very good. His movement out was very good. As you can see here, he moves out nicely. Like his positioning is very good to keep him alive, right? Ultimately, if he is alive, he's doing more DPS, okay? What else did he do well? There are a few things. Like he did, for the most part, he did well. There's nothing really that like. There are a few major things that could have been improved, but ultimately he did well. But those are the main things that are going to contribute to good, strong DPS. Cute things that I like seeing that he did is blood talencing and re-stealthing before each fight. Good cooldown usage on bosses to a degree. Good positioning on bosses to a degree. Again, he was good at keeping himself alive. Wasn't the best at optimizing his DPS. And you have to be cheeky, especially as a feral. If you want to optimize, if you want to compete with the big boys, you have to optimize your DPS. So you have to be cheeky with your positioning, right? Sometimes you got to stand in the fire and pop your survival instincts and just take the hit, but at least you're getting the damage up, all right? Damage when other people can't, and that's ultimately gonna improve your kind of ranking. Things he did poorly, or things that I would have liked to see improved, he wasn't looking at his pandemic windows, which is the biggest. Like, all of your damage comes from bleeds. Rake, Rip, and Melee are your biggest 3 damage dealers. Moonfire, if you take Moonfire on single target or even 2-target cleave, is your your 4th highest damage. It does 10 to 12% of your DPS, right? Incredible. Oh, and would you look at that? Would you look at that? And that is his just reward, okay? That is his just reward. Pandemic windows were not good. His multi-target cleave was not good. When he was on a single target, he did pretty well. When he was on 2-target, he did okay. When he was on like 4 or more targets with substantial health, it was not good. And also, his mass AoE damage was not optimal. He could have done more DPS. He could have done more. He did okay. He was using his Brutal Slash, but he could have optimized the Brutal Slash damage. Alright guys, so I think we lost the last little clip of that video. I was basically just going to say that he could have optimized his Brutal Slash damage a little bit better with his Blood Talons, as well as just making better use of his Berserk. He wasn't really using it that much in between bosses. He was kind of saving it for his bosses, and that was it. And, you know, you can still get a lot of really good use. There's still a lot of tough packs in dungeons that can make good use of Berserk. Normally, the best way to kind of use it is just use it. Just use it on cooldown. And then eventually you'll kind of figure out, oh, okay, I've used it. I don't have enough time in between that boss. I should have used it at this position. And normally there'll be like a position in the dungeon that you can use it. And you kind of just learn those just from practice, just from doing it, just from using it. But I hope you guys liked that video. If you want to submit your own video, I will put a link in the description on how to do that. I would love to get some more reviews from you guys, or more videos from you guys, so I can do some more of these reviews. I hope it was useful. I'd love to help more of you guys out there. So if you're interested, yeah, definitely get involved. And if you want to check out the Twitch channel as well, guys, that's twitch.tv/SciBestSlap. You can come hang out. I'm gonna, go live like 4 days a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So come hang out. I do a lot of viewer keys. I do a lot of High Mythic Plus. I do some raiding. I do some all kinds of stuff. So please come along, guys. Take it easy.